In a devastating new video, Teen Mom star Amber Portwood acknowledged that she had hit her lowest point. The 32-year-old Amber expressed her heartbreak at losing custody of her son James, who is 4 years old. In the most recent episode of Teen Mom, The Next Chapter, Amber visits her son in California. This week's episode teaser shows Amber sitting on a bench with her 36-year-old first baby daddy, Gary Shirley. "You know, I'm at my lowest right now," she told him. "I'm trying to jump through these hoops for my son." In the most recent episode of Teen Mom, The Next Chapter, Amber visits her son in California. This week's episode teaser shows Amber sitting on a bench with her 36-year-old first baby daddy, Gary Shirley. "You know, I'm at my lowest right now," she told him. "I'm trying to jump through these hoops for my son." By revealing that Amber had abused their child and used drugs during her pregnancy, the father of one hindered Amber's attempts to reclaim full custody of James. In the end, Andrew was granted sole custody of their son. As was previously reported, Amber still resides in Indiana, while Andrew and James currently live at Andrew's mother's $5 million Malibu mansion in California. After Amber lost custody of her son, the judge eventually gave her some good news. The U.S. Sun can exclusively disclose that after her no-contact order against Andrew was removed, Amber now has more access to her kid via FaceTime conversations and phone calls. Given that James currently lives more than 2,000 miles away from Amber with his father in California, the Teen Mom star's continued relationship with her son may be drastically altered by their increased communication. Now, according to the judge's decision, Amber is entitled to liberal telephone calls and or FaceTime communication with the child. The judge established a schedule for Amber's calls at 5:30 p.m. PT on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, if Amber and Andrew are unable to agree on the days and hours. After Amber's no-contact order was lifted in June, Andrew seems to have moved to California in recent months with little James. In a recent episode of Teen Mom, The Next Chapter, Amber revealed something startling about her relationship with her baby daddy Andrew. In a recent video call, Amber informed Gary that Andrew, 38, would be living with her for some time. Amber chose to temporarily let Andrew live with her, and Gary told her to just be careful about it. In response to Gary's warning, Amber asked inquisitively, "What could happen?" After dating since 2017, Amber and Andrew welcomed a son, James, into the world in 2018. They started having relationship problems shortly after having their kid, and by 2019, they were no longer together. In order to give his perspective on the toxic connection between Andrew and Amber, Andrew returned to Teen Mom OG in 2020. Andrew and Amber might be headed for reconciliation in November 2022. Since James and Andrew will probably be moving in with Amber shortly, Amber Portwood sat quietly in her Indiana living room, the late afternoon sun casting soft, golden rays across the floor. It was a serene setting, but her heart was far from calm. With trembling fingers, she adjusted her phone on its stand, hit record, and took a deep breath. "Hi everyone," she began, her voice fragile but steady. "This is probably one of the hardest videos I've ever had to make. I've been through a lot in my life, but right now I feel like I'm at my lowest." Her eyes welled with tears as she spoke, and her vulnerability was palpable. For Amber, this wasn't just a video, it was a lifeline, a way to connect with the world and make sense of her pain. Just weeks earlier, Amber had lost custody of her 4-year-old son James to her ex-partner, Andrew Glennon. The court's decision, which granted Andrew permission to relocate to California with James, had shattered Amber's world. "I never thought I'd be in this position," she said, her voice breaking. James is my heart, my everything, and now I have to figure out how to be a mom from miles away. For Amber, the loss was more than just physical. It was emotional, spiritual, and deeply personal. Despite her past struggles, she had worked tirelessly to rebuild her life and prove her commitment to being a better parent. The custody battle had been grueling, exposing every aspect of her life to scrutiny. And now, despite her efforts, she felt like she had failed. Amber's journey as a public figure had always been tumultuous. From her early days on Teen Mom, she had been open about her battles with mental health, addiction, and anger management. Her struggles had often played out in the public eye, making her a polarizing figure. But for those who had followed her story closely, it was clear that Amber had also shown immense growth. In recent years, she had sought therapy, embraced medication for her bipolar disorder, and taken steps to mend her relationships. Losing custody of James felt like a devastating blow to that progress. In the video, Amber opened up about the toll the custody loss had taken on her. "There's this emptiness," she said, clutching her chest as if to hold herself together. "Every morning, I wake up and expect to hear his little voice, to see his smile, and then I remember, he's not here, and it breaks me all over again." She wiped away a tear and continued, her voice trembling. "I know some people will judge me, they'll say I deserve this because of my past, but what they don't see is how much I've worked to change, how much I love my kids. James is my world, and I would do anything for him." Amber's decision to share her pain publicly wasn't just about seeking sympathy, it was about finding connection. Over the years, her fans had become a source of support and understanding, offering encouragement during her darkest moments. "I've always believed in being real with you guys," she said. "I don't want to hide how I'm feeling or pretend everything's okay when it's not. Life is messy. And sometimes it's really, really hard, but I know I'm not alone in this." The response to her video was immediate and overwhelming. Messages of love and solidarity poured in from fans and fellow Teen Mom stars alike. "Amber, you're stronger than you think. Keep fighting for James. He'll always know how much you love him. As a mom who's been through a similar situation, I'm sending you all my support. You're not alone. Your honesty is so brave. Thank you for sharing your story. You're helping so many others." Life after the loss. In the weeks following the custody decision, Amber had to confront a new reality. James, who had been a constant presence in her life, was now living thousands of miles away. Their interactions were limited to phone calls and video chats, moments that were both precious and bittersweet. "I cherish every second I get to hear his voice," she said. "But it's not the same as holding him, kissing him goodnight, or being there for his little milestones. That's the hardest part, not being there." Despite the pain, Amber refused to give up. She remained determined to stay involved in James's life, even from afar. "I'm still his mom," she said firmly. "No distance can change that." Finding strength in vulnerability. Amber's video marked a turning point in her journey, a moment of raw honesty that inspired others to share their own struggles. Her openness about her mental health challenges, her mistakes, and her resilience resonated deeply with those who had faced similar battles. One fan wrote, "Amber, your story gives me hope. I'm a mom fighting for my kids, and seeing your strength reminds me that I can keep going too." Another shared, "You've been through so much, but you keep getting back up. That's what makes you a great mom." Amber found solace in these messages, drawing strength from the collective support of her community. Rebuilding and moving forward. As she worked to heal, Amber leaned on her family, friends, and therapist. She also turned to creative outlets, channeling her emotions into writing and painting. "Art has been a lifeline for me," she said in a later update. "It's a way to process everything I'm feeling and turn it into something meaningful." She also focused on her older daughter, Lee, strengthening their bond and creating new memories together. "Lee has been my rock," Amber said. "She's wise beyond her years, and she reminds me every day why it's so important to keep going." Toward the end of her video, Amber looked directly into the camera, her eyes filled with both pain and determination. "To anyone out there who's struggling, who feels like they're at their lowest, I see you, I feel your pain. But please, don't give up. You're stronger than you think, and you're not alone. We're in this together." Her words struck a chord with viewers, reminding them that even in the darkest moments, there is hope.